Hello, my friendly acquaintances. Good to see you. Welcome to Fire Your Boss. I am your host, George Bruno, and I have these marvelous co-hosts that I meet with every single week. Dan T-Bone Jones, also known as Jonesy, and Frank Loverboy Garon, which I never get tired of saying, Loverboy.
Me neither. Yes, it suits me, doesn't it?
I'll give you guys the first word. Go for it, Jonesy.
Well, this is, I'm just excited to be here again. It's episode 33, which, you know, the number is meaningless, except it's like a matching number. It's a multiple of 11. So I'm turning it up to 11. And I just upgraded to this lovely Rode mic here upon your recommendation, Mr. Bruno. Upgrading from a Yeti, which is fine in and of itself. But, you know, you want to start leveling up, as our buddy Dylan Lee says, level up. So I'm excited for this episode in particular. We'll tease it because it's basically a framework of my personal journey in firing your boss. 33 episodes deep, and we're finally gonna like talk about the actual history and put it into a scaffolding.
I love it. Mr. Loverboy Garon, what word do you have to start out with? What would you say?
I'm excited too, George, because firing my boss was one of the funnest things I ever did in my life. And so, yeah, to share that whole thing is going to be fun. Absolutely.
Well, think about it. One of the most popular country songs of all time was by Johnny Paycheck, called "Take This Job and Shove It."
Yeah.
And that resonated. That resonates with a lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of people who live through that song, you know. Or think what was the movie with Michael Douglas where he just had it? You know what I mean? And he went off. Remember
I'm
that?
As hell and I can't take it anymore.
No, yeah, what the hell?
No,
not that one.
You know,
Falling Down.
Yeah,
falling down.
Yeah.
And I think the reason why, like, media like that becomes so iconic is that because secretly everybody wants to fire their boss. Everybody wants to go off into like this dream fantasy where they walk into the boss's office and throw their keys and their ID down and do that, I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore, or, I'm sick of your shit, and, all this kind of stuff. And I think everybody kind of has that fantasy of doing that at one point or another. That's just the reality of things. And I think that is the charm and the attractor factor of Fire Your Boss, that we're appealing to something that exists in everybody. We're going to talk about today the first 5 steps that people need to fire their boss and replace their income with a side hustle or new business. And we'll just kind of like have a little round robin here. The first of those steps is this: clarify your vision and goals. Now, are you going to fire your boss and make $1 million your first year? No. The goal is
probably not.
Probably not. Yeah,
probably not.
It's not going to happen.
Say no. It has
we don't want to be limiting.
Yeah,
that's right.
It didn't happen to me.
That's right. That's right. Well, I like to say, just start earning something. Just tape that dollar on the wall. Earn. I don't care if it's 10 cents from an affiliate program. You become an Amazon affiliate and you make 10 cents. It doesn't matter. You become an affiliate with anything. And that's money that you made where you didn't have to go to a brick and mortar job and answer to somebody and clock in. So once you see that you can make $1 on your own, it's scalable. So I've been telling people, all you have to do is start with making $1, match your income, scale it up to match your income. You don't even have to exceed it. Just match it if you can. Define what you want to do. Define what financial freedom is. I mean, I have found that I work harder for myself than I would for any other human being.
Mm-hmm.
I am my own, right, Frank? Right? I'm my,
yeah.
Like, I am my best boss. I am I don't resent myself. Whereas on the job, when I get a list of things I have to do and things I'm not crazy about doing, I just start resenting the job. I resent the employer. I resent my supervisor. I resent anyone. I just don't want to talk to people. And, it's just so much fun waking up and seeing a few dollars more in your bank account that you generated on your own without an employer, without clocking in. So let's talk about this part. Define what you want to achieve, how much financial freedom, how much flexibility, and how much creative fulfillment. What do you think, Jonesy?
So this is interesting because it's in part subjective and then in other parts objective, because money is a tool. You need money to buy shit so you can live, so you can eat, sleep, and breathe. However, time freedom, your personal fulfillment, if we want to talk about Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a frame of reference, our internal visions or vision and values, and how we see ourselves, and how just our interactions with the world, how we want to live our lives. What we do 8, 9, 10 hours a day for quote unquote work, be it for ourselves or an employer, that's a significant portion of your life. Therefore, yes, the financials are a major concern. How much do you need to make or want to make to replace this income? But what is it that you want to do, being an equally important question while you're figuring out the financial side. So with that, my own personal experience with firing my boss, and here's what I like about our system, is it's in contrast to what a lot of other gurus, I shouldn't say other gurus, we're gurus because we're not gurus. We are non-guru, we are non-ego. We'll say, quit today and you'll succeed because you have to. Probably true, but that creates a high pressure situation and a stressful situation for people who may not thrive in that environment. I operate on leverage and positive leverage and value creation in leverage. Meaning I started my side gig years and years and years ago, but never pursued it as a full-time job. But it was literally a side hustle, building small business websites and social media for local businesses. And that allowed me to hone a craft to deliver a little extra for any employer I was working for at the time. But at the same time, leverage, because I knew I had even a small income stream if the job disappeared today or tomorrow. And we talked about that in the previous episode about how job security is in fact a myth. So if for no other reason, do it for that. Gives you autonomy and then gives you that buffer against the unpredictable.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first element was financial freedom. Second element, flexibility. For me, I love starting work at about 4:30 a.m. My feet hit the floor at 4 o'clock. I go to bed early. I'm like your party pooper friend. I'm the guy that never goes out, or I stopped going out a long time ago. I'm the guy that doesn't use alcohol anymore. Pat myself on the back, but it makes it easier to get out of, for me, it makes it easier to get out of bed. I want to start work at 4:30. Today I did my podcast. I pressed record at 5 a.m. And before the before the world wakes up, I've been awake for 3 hours. That's me. But I love the flexibility of starting work early and ending work early. And I end work at about, when I do my stuff at home, I end at about maybe 2 in the afternoon or so. And I'm good with that. But where am I going to find a job that allows me to start work at 4:30 in the morning? And, so the flexibility that you have, you create for yourself. Define what you want. I want a job that starts early, or a task, or a way of making a living where I can start early. I can do it anywhere I want. I created the parameters. I can visit my family in Florida and take my phone and laptop with me and not skip a beat.
Mm-hmm.
It's fascinating. And I think that's one of the beautiful things about firing your boss and kind of doing your own thing, and like to not be afraid of the entrepreneurial life. It's, entrepreneurs, everyone thinks like every entrepreneur is trying to make $10 million. Some people just want to pay the bills, and that's, it's not for getting rich is not for everybody. Some people are their attitudes, well, I'm okay with my simple life and what I'm like, okay, I don't have to, again, that's one of those things. I don't want to twist anyone's arm, but if that's all they want, that's cool. It's good. And it can be done. Frank, what do you think?
Well, I think that going into it, you need to think long and hard. And I think going into it, you need to prove to yourself that you can make a little bit of money repeatedly rather than just plan on jumping into it overnight. That's what I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I can remember, you talk about money. I remember the first time we made $5,000 a month in the business. That was essentially 2 months worth of income driving a tractor trailer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, this really works. But when I went full time, I didn't go full time making $1 million. I was probably making, this is in 1996. I was probably making what I was making as a tractor trailer driver. And it got to the point where the job was getting in the way of my business, not the other way around. So I had to let the job go, and it was a shame. It's funny. Now, my last full-time boss that I got rid of in 1992 or 93 or 94, that guy, God rest his soul, I won't say anything bad about him. He's dead. But if he was alive today, I would give him a big hug and a kiss and say, thank you, Chuck, for being who you are, because you drove me to be successful. I couldn't take working here anymore. Now my last full-time job, part-time job, where I drove tractor trailer locally, out and back in the day, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I didn't have a care in the world because I knew they were getting fired as soon as I made a little bit more money. So I would go out. It was actually a shame because I had a brand new Mack truck with air ride, air conditioning, so cold you can make ice cubes out of your drink on the dashboard, lumbar seats, heated mirrors, cruise control, kick-ass stereo system, and all. And they were great to me. They gave me a new truck because they knew I took care of it. Nothing bothered me, man, because I knew I was leaving. Matter of fact, when I quit on August the 4th, 1996, they called me back in November and they said, "Hey Frank, I know that you started your own business. Hope it's doing good." I said, "Yeah, thank you. Any chance you want to come back to work with us over the holiday? Over the holidays, we have that much freight that we could use you as an extra driver." I'm like, "Dude, I would love to. I already miss driving a tractor trailer. I'm making so much money here. It would cost me to go to work for you. It would cost me money, even though you're paying me." In other words, I'm making more from home than I would going back. I couldn't do it. And I'll tell you what, that was like the final bridge I burnt, man. Once I said that, there was definitely no going back. Because I knew they
Yeah.
would take me back if they needed to,
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to do it, George, without a safety net. Don't be
Yeah.
stupid, but if I said, "Well, can't quit this, I'm making 100 grand." Yeah, well, guess what? I probably would have still been driving because I needed to be home. At that point, I was talking to my ex. I said, "Listen, we need to have me home. If I'm making X amount of money driving a truck 2, 3 days a week from this business, what can I do if I'm home?" Then I came home and worked 7 days a week and practically burnt myself out. But I got up to 100 without any products or services of my own. That was strictly through affiliate marketing by probably my second year in the business, maybe something like that. Maybe third, 100 grand a year without your own products. That's pretty darn good for anybody, especially a bankrupt truck driver from New Jersey who at the time barely knew how to turn a computer on or off.
Let me ask you this. Item number 2 under clarifying your vision and goals says set specific, measurable, and time-bound goals for income replacement. I gave myself 18 to 24 months, and I did it in about a year when I initially started podcasting. And I had quit my job with 2 hours. I gave him 2 hours notice.
Hmm.
And that was the closest thing to firing your boss. That was in 2017. When I started podcasting, I said, okay, I'm going to give myself up to 2 years to be able to do it. And I did it pretty quick. I got to over 100,000 people my first year, 100,000 subscribers my first year. Got the silver play button from YouTube and all that stuff, and it was good. The affiliate income was good. And then because some of my content is a little edgy and offensive to some, about 70% of it got demonetized. And I was like, oh crap!
Yeah.
And then I had to actually go and get a job, get a part-time job, which I did, which I'm still at. And that happened in 2018. But I will tell you that I wouldn't have been able to do it if I didn't put a date on it. It was so important for me to be able to say, okay, by the end of this calendar year, and I had to see it. I had to have a 1-year calendar up. I literally had to wake up and look at a 1-year calendar. And it was like I was like doing time in prison. I was literally putting X's on at the end of every day, like
There you
that
go.
that kind of thing. Yeah, but without that specific date to kind of put that unconscious psychic pressure on myself, it had to be as specific as by this date at this time, I'm going to be free, and I did, and I gave my boss 2 hours. 2 hours notice.
So you're talking about really smart goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time sensitive.
Yes.
Time sensitive or time bound being a very important factor there, because it does give you accountability. I sort of did that, but mine was kind of reverse engineered because I hit that Michael Douglas boiling point where, and I'm very friendly with my former job to this day. In fact, they're actually a client of mine. They're a car dealership. And my wife's business is actually buying a van, a Mercedes Sprinter van from that dealership as we speak. So talking about being self-referential and not burning bridges, there's a great one right there. Because now one hand is feeding the other for damn sure. But when I rolled the dice and said I'm out, I then said, okay, I now know I need to earn this amount of money, or I need to acquire this amount of clients by this specific time period, which takes us, I know, into a few points down the road in our checklist here on financial projections. But that was my process, was being forced to reverse engineer the SMART goals.
Yeah. Well, you went from firing your boss to hiring your boss, or your boss hiring you.
Correct.
And there you go. Both, actually.
Yeah.
He hired him for delivery of a vehicle to buy a good vehicle from, and the guy is paying him. Yeah, Jonesy, I like that, man. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if somebody would have paid me to drive the tractor trailer 2 days a week, I would have stayed with it. I miss it to this day. I still miss my cowboy boots, my shades, my big manly, my kind of like Texas shirt or whatever, driving and shifting gears and going down the road,
Yeah.
cranking the tunes and all. I miss that, but working for the man, bleh, that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny how like there's certain things that I do. For instance, my trade is cutting hair. And I have a profession and a trade. My trade is cutting hair. And I mean, unless you own several barbershops and have 20 people working for you and you're getting, a certain percentage of everything that they generate, it's not a great paying career if you're a solo guy. But I will tell you, I never get up in the morning, because I still cut hair a couple days a week.
Mm-hmm.
I never get up in the morning and go, oh crap, I have to cut hair. I do it because I actually enjoy it. I really enjoy it. It's fun. It's a fun job, but I can't make a living doing it. It puts tips in my pocket, gives me, if I'm ever like whipping out any money out of my pocket, it's because of the tips. That's it. And it takes care of a couple bills, but it's not a chunk of my income. But I really do enjoy it.
Well, sure, but in order to be extremely wealthy in that space, you either have to become or resume being a celebrity groomer, a barber, men's grooming expert, and then there's all sorts of tie-ins with that having to do with affiliates anyway and product promotion, or creating a scalable business around it. And then it goes back to the question: is that what you want to do? Is that what you want to do? And it's what I'm hearing is that no, you don't want to spend all day doing that.
Right. It's a leisurely activity that pays me. And that's it. And I'm not gonna reach any huge goals doing it. I mean, I can go anywhere in the world and make money doing it, not make a lot of money, but it does translate to some cash. And I can appreciate that. But what do they say? Was it Clint Eastwood in one of the movies says a man's got to know his limitations.
Yeah.
I forget what movie that was from, but I think everyone has to get a reality check of what their job and career can actually provide, and that someday will never come, as they say. Like one of these days or someday. Like no, stop. Just like eliminate that from your language. It is what it is. Okay.
Man, especially as we grow, Fire Your Boss and Conversion Chemistry. This isn't to knock that type of person, but we hear more and more and more of it. And just stop, put a date on it. If you need our help to put that date on it, we're here for you.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. By the way, what is our website, Jonesy?
FireYourBoss.win.
And what do people have to do when they go there?
Start today, okay? But more specifically, sign up for a free membership at Conversion Chemistry, okay? If you're going to do nothing else, if you're not going to even get our entry-level side gig starter kit, join us for a complimentary mastermind. Everybody gets one. Our Conversion Chemistry free essentials. I shouldn't say free. All right, free is devaluing. It is, but it's free. Marketing essentials toolkit. You get that when you sign up. And then that lets you play around with the niche navigator. It gives you some of our marketing essentials courses. It gives you the building your brand toolkit. Everything you need to get started. It's there. Yeah.
And one of the things that you like to say is about the best time to get started. How does that go?
Well, it's a bastardization of real estate. It's the best time to get started was 20 years ago. The second best time to get started is right now.
Yeah. I like that. I got to be reminded of that often, but I do love that phrase. All right. Set specific, measurable, and time-bound goals for income replacement. That's a good thing. As a matter of fact, why would somebody want to fire their boss? Is it like for me, I didn't want to. I just hate the fact that other grown men are telling me what to do in order to make money. And some people say, well, I don't want people telling me what to do, so I started my own business. And then they have nothing but customers telling them what to do. And I'm like, well, you're just trading one boss for another. But I guess if you go into self-employment and a side hustle, a side gig, and become an authority in that thing, you're not necessarily getting bossed around by anybody. People are looking to you for a prescription for their problem. So that leads us to number 2. Evaluate your skills and interests. Identify your strengths, passions, and marketable skills. A lot of times, the people that are closest to us, like when we talk to them, and it's kind of funny. Like when you ask people that know you, say, hey, what are my skills? What am I good at? What do you recognize that I'm good at? And people will always surprise you because we are our own biggest doubters and enemies. I think as modern human beings. Jonesy, what do you think about self-evaluation of strengths, passions, and marketable skills? does this have to be a formal process? Do we have to take inventories, or can it be done in a brainstorming session, a whiteboard session, one-to-one coaching, or a mastermind? What are your thoughts about that?
No, you don't need any particular tools or systems. I will say I do like frameworks and scaffolding, and being objective when it comes to evaluating your own skill set. Even if you need to use something like either like a tool like our niche navigator on fireyourboss.win to help you articulate what these skills are, and how that would align with your vision. But I mean, this is like really basic, but it goes back Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, looking from the outside in. So just stepping outside of yourself and saying, what are my skills? Because sometimes somebody will ask, what are your skills? I'm like, I don't know. But if you take 5 minutes and break it down, every action you do in the course of a day, there is some skill tied to that.
Yeah.
Be it mental prowess and acumen in strategy, or skill with your hands. It's there. But I mean, simple as make a list. Honestly, make a list and do a brainstorming session. Whatever
Yeah.
is your best way of, coaxing out either verbiage or ideas, or articulating what's already there. Always start with the method that works for you. Some of my favorite people who are highly organized, they're high level speakers, they're entrepreneurs or multipreneurs. They still carry around a notepad, a little planner, a day planner, and everything has to be a scribble on a calendar, or else it does not exist in their life.
Yeah.
Myself leveraging tech, I'm highly, probably way too dependent on my Google Calendar. But my tech background, which is a skill accumulated over time, has built the concept of redundancy into everything I do. So rip a device away, I don't care, it's still there. Shut down my account, I don't care, it's replicated to another account. If my 10 redundancies fail, then I have to figure out something else. So that's all part of the feedback loop of evaluation. So start with whatever your means of conveyance are, an idea translation, scribbling, whiteboard, vision board, text to yourself. Our friend Hannah, the business doctor, she she texts herself, or texts the last person in her phone. Like, so if we were talking, she'll text me something random. She'll be like, haha, I just needed to write something down real fast. You happen to be my notepad. Whatever that is.
Yeah.
That's where you start.
Frank, one of the things that I noticed about you since I've known you is that you are for lack of a better term, a gift detector. I love how you, when you meet people for the first or second time, you can like spot their gifts, and you literally like let them know. And I've seen people's eyes be wide open as you're talking to them, and they're like, really? And it's like something that you see that they don't even see in themselves, that you've learned how to spot gifts in people, little things that they can do that they might not even realize that they have. uh, Frank, how would you counsel somebody to identify their strengths, passions, and marketable skills?
Well, I'm of two schools here, because one is you go to your friends, family, your neighbors, coworkers, whatever, because they're the people that know you best. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, there are people that are going to tell you what you're doing is stupid, it's not going to work, blah, 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 this and that. Oh, that's risky. Do you really want to do that? So you kind of have to learn how to, I guess, take what they have to say and take it with a grain of salt. You know what I mean? Like, they're only looking out for you. You know what I mean? I've had clients where I'm like, oh my God, you're amazing at this. And they'll say, yeah, but my parents don't think I can do it. Yeah, your parents, basically what your parents are saying is they're not there to destroy your soul. Any good parent wouldn't be like that. But they are there to protect you and kind of, they just worry about it. Like, my mom's 84. She still wants my sister and I to call when we get home. I'm 60. Why do I have to call my 84-year-old mom? because she's my mom and she worries about me. You're a parent. You're always going to worry about your kids. My sister takes umbrage of that. She's like, I'm 50 something years old. I don't need to account to you. I'm like, dude, she's 84. She wants to know her kid's okay. When I get back from visiting her an hour and a half away, I call her. But my mom, she's going to tell you what's good about me, but she also knows the bad. So sometimes some of that comes out in ways that are not necessarily the ways we want to hear, but you really have to listen. There's an old, it's in the Tao or something like that. Something like, can you sit quietly enough to let the water be still and reveal itself? Most people can't do that. So what I would say is, yeah, you go to your friends, family, and neighbors, but you have to go someplace quiet, someplace different, someplace maybe you go to your favorite place even versus someplace totally different. And you just sit and you let the thoughts wash over you. And you take notes. One thing you guys didn't mention, you can record yourself and transcribe. Another thing is you can punch what you think you're good at into Chat GPT or one of these other AI programs and let it kind of lead you down a path. Say, hey, you know what? I think I want to quit my job. Here's the 6 things that I think I'm good at.
Ooh.
Let it tell you a couple things.
Ooh, I need to write something down here. I'm so
do?
sorry, but that just sparked an idea. I'm gonna adapt the niche navigator to fulfill that by putting in a freestyle mode. So right now, the niche navigator asks you the 12 questions pretty much in sequence to give you your niche ideas. We're gonna have it now.
Yep.
Freestyle or freeform or whatever the trigger word is. We're gonna workshop that. That's gonna happen by the time this episode drops.
Nice.
Can we call that
excellent.
Frankbot or Lover Boy or something like that?
So interesting. I can have it refer to Loverboy bot.
Loverbot.
Yeah.
Loverbot. Yeah.
Loverbot. There you go. That's better.
Because Frankie loves you.
Yeah,
that's
that's
funny.
right. Uncle Frankie loves you and he wants to see you do well.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, guys? You either have to go to your favorite place where you go as a place to as a recluse and unwind and be away from everybody, or you just get in a tank of gas and bring your little iPhone or Galaxy and just keep driving till you find some place you like and just sit there and go.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I'm going to think about is what am I good at? What am I not good at? I'm going to write it down. I'm going to bring it back to these guys or Loverbot or one of these things and feed it through. Your family and friends, man, they love you and they mean well, but some of them can just, it's like riding a bike at 80 and you go past them, take a big stick, whack, right through your spokes, man. And they say, I'm only looking out for you.
Yeah.
If you go entrepreneurial, see, the thing is, I had my cousin Rudy, when I started network marketing back in 94. I don't know how I mentioned it to him or how I found it or how I knew he was in Amway. But you know what he did? He gave me every Amway mindset tape by these guys like Bill Britt and Dexter Yeager and this one, that one. That's all I had. I would listen every day to them in my tractor trailer. So instead of let's say I had to wait an hour for a delivery, instead of getting out of my cabin and shooting the breeze with the other drivers and all, I just, plug these cassette tapes in and just listen until I was bulletproof. And you have to, any business, entrepreneurially speaking, is going to be 90%, at least in my opinion, 90% technique. No, I'm lying to you. 90% psychology, 10% technique. Because the belief in yourself, out of everything you're ever going to do, SEO, blogging, traffic generation, copywriting, all the stuff we do. You know what the hardest thing about my business is? Waking up every day and believing in myself that I can still do this. After 28 years of full-time proof, August the 4th of this year will be 29 years. Every day I've got to say, oh, yeah, this is working. Let's keep going.
Beautiful. Right? I love it. I was talking to someone yesterday about there's a reason why writers have writers' retreats. There's a reason why they go off to a cabin somewhere and write their next novel, their next great work, or their next composition, their next concert, their next symphony, like whatever. Get out of the house. It's better. Like, I just think it's even better just to, take your laptop or phone and notebook and go to Starbucks, go to a coffee shop, just get out of the house. You need to stimulate things. One of the guys I was talking to yesterday, we talked about kind of like stirring up neurons, like literally, like using chopsticks to eat your dinner. Okay. It's going to take you like twice as long to eat dinner. But if you're not a person that knows how to use chopsticks, while you are learning, you are developing, you are literally firing up parts of your brain that you've never used. You're developing new neural pathways. I know a guy who works out who belongs to 3 gyms. I said, 3 gyms? What's the matter? One isn't enough?
Jeez.
And he said, he goes, I need variety because I get bored really easy. He goes, the gyms have different clientele, different environments, different machines, and he never gets bored. The guy's like jacked as heck, but he knows what his weakness is. He'll fall into like a rut and get bored, whatever. So he's always switching it up. And I think just getting out of the house, sitting in a coffee shop or a diner, brainstorming, talking to people who you don't normally talk to, that can spark things. You can have like a Jonesy moment where like when we watch this replay, watching Jonesy's face 5 minutes ago as he was like, something just came to me. He's like, and he's like, I gotta change niche navigator. And it's like, we literally in real time, we saw this aha moment. It showed up on his face. And I'm like, oh, something good's going to happen. Like any second now. I just, like, even before he opened his mouth, I saw it on his face. It was kind of funny.
Yeah, and that's, everybody can and should have that moment. And, that was a pretty mid idea. Like, it's cool, but it's not the next big thing. The next big thing, hopefully, is listening to us right now. And, don't be bound up working for somebody else. Find that combination of a new, or it could be familiar, but a pattern disruptive place out of the ordinary. Eat dinner with your chopsticks. Go to the quiet place that is safe but different, and watch what comes out of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I love it.
That's why I go to the mastermind group every month, guys. Not only do I see my friends, you guys and everybody else, but it gets me out of the house for a day, because it's so easy to just get up, come down, take a shower upstairs, whatever, get dressed, come downstairs, eat breakfast, and then it's 2 rooms away is my office, and I'm here all day. And it's got all these windows on all 3 sides of me, which is pretty neat. But I'm inside all day, man. I go to check the mail or bring the garbage in once a week. That's bad. You got to get out, man. It's one thing I liked about driving a truck. I went to different places every day, and met different people every day. I had to think on my feet every day.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you really, George, you really have to put yourself in a position of discomfort, cognitive dissonance, whatever you want to call it, pattern disrupt, in order for you to start. And again, that goes back to the 90% psychology, 10% technique, things that I've said over and over. You really have to put yourself into places and situations that you wouldn't, not painful ones or dangerous ones, but things that you might not necessarily volunteer for. Man, the first time I spoke on stage, I almost pooped myself. Now it's like, where's my mark? Give me the mic. When are we on?
Yep.
29 years. It's been that way for 28 years, 27 years. Yeah, the first year I was like, duh. And now I'm like, what are we talking about today? It becomes a new skill, but you have to push yourself. You have to be willing to speak in public, talking to a certain someone right now, for example.
Yeah.
Somebody I love dearly, by the way.
Hang on. Speaking in public is different than public speaking. I can go to networking events all day long. I can talk to people in small groups. I have no desire to get on a stage, and I don't have to, because it's not what I want to do. I have 3 methods of generating income with 3 businesses right now that don't require me to get on stage, because it's not what I want to do.
And I love that about you.
but you do have to be prepared to talk to people.
Yep.
Yes, you
Yep.
do, because
Mhm.
people buy from people that they know, like, and trust, which is going to
Exactly.
be
Yep.
our thing. Part of what we talk about on our next episode of, the paid stuff over at Conversion Chemistry.
Yeah, I
How
mean
to be.
that should be folded into every lesson, everything that has to do with sales and marketing. That's integral.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't have to be a flash and glam car salesman, slick Willie type. You just have to be a human being that can open their mouth and actually look somebody in the eye. That, I mean, we can all do that, or 98% of us can do that much, you know. So get your knuckles up off the floor, stop dragging them, stand up straight, and be willing to speak up for yourself. You're the only person that has to live with you. Every decision you make, yeah, it might affect other people. You're the one that has to live with it, though. You're
Yeah.
the one that lives with you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So, you know what I tell people? I say, listen, how is it that you were willing to go to college for 2 years or 4 years, whatever, accumulate 50 to 100,000 in student loan debt, and settle for some lousy job at doing what, where you could be let go at any time for anything? Your company could merge, company could go bang. I mean, I've had it all, man.
Yeah.
Back in my day. That's why I know people say, "Oh, this entrepreneurial is crazy." No, it's actually pretty damn secure when you
Yeah.
look at the fact that your future's in your hands versus saying, "Oh, here's my life, boss man. Do with it what you see fit. You determine my worth. You
Yeah.
determine where I should fit into things. You determine if I should stay or go." I call BS on that, man. It's not secure.
Right.
How can you tell me that's secure?
The only
I'm gonna
security
need
we have is
oxygen. I'm gonna need oxygen after this. I tell you that much. This gets me going, George.
the only security we
Uh,
have is the security that we provide for ourselves. I found that out the hard
yep.
way in my lifetime. That there's
Hmm.
no totally reliable employer. I work harder for me than I do for any boss. I am more reliable, and I can count on me more than I can count on any company. But to kind of piggyback on what you were saying about pattern disruption, I'm about 6 months, a good 6 months into a bodybuilding program. I know I don't look it yet, but I'm actually doing that's like my sport now. My sport and hobby is bodybuilding. But people look at me and go, You're bodybuilding? I'm like, yeah, I'm at the very beginning stage of it, but I'm bodybuilding. So one of the things that I recently learned as I'm getting coached, and it's not just a matter of going to the gym, and because I was such a casual workout guy, just go to the gym, do my workout and leave. Now I have a purpose. But one of the things that I recently learned is there's a whole thing called muscle confusion, where if you're doing exercises and your body just kind of gets used to that routine, there's no growth.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to kind of like
Oh, I've
cross
heard
train.
about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called
Yeah.
muscle confusion, and you have to do different exercises to kind of confuse the muscle and kind of catch it off guard. So you introduce a new exercise or a new way of doing an old exercise. And ever since I started doing that, like for instance, I'll give you an example. Like if you're on a treadmill for 30 minutes, okay, everyone thinks you get on a treadmill and walk fast for 30 minutes. Better yet is what they call, and we've been hearing more about this in the past, I'd say 5 years, this high intensity interval training. Instead of spending 30 minutes on a treadmill, spend the first 5 minutes walking at a slower pace, and then like speed it up 30% for 10 minutes, and then increase the incline for 10 minutes, and then warm down, or cool down for 5 minutes, that kind of thing. And then you end the last few minutes walking like you started, 30 minutes earlier.
Yeah.
But you can maximize a 30-minute treadmill session by switching it up, switching up the speeds and the pitch and the incline and all that. and get a full workout. I know a guy who's a bodybuilder, a natural bodybuilder, who everyone says, like, what's your secret? And he says, the treadmill. And they're like, what? He goes, the treadmill. He goes, I get more done on a treadmill than I do anywhere else, because he switches the speed and the incline, and he walks backwards on the treadmill, like a 30-minute session. He'll spend 5 minutes walking backwards uphill on the treadmill. So when
I fall over 10 seconds in.
Yeah, like these bodybuilders, when they go into like cutting season, he's not only watching what he eats, but he said his treadmill is the key. That's it. And he just does the whole interval training thing on a treadmill. And I'm finding that in business and sales and firing your boss, we got to do that pattern disruption. We have to do that muscle confusion kind of thing. You got to snap out of it, and be comfortable with uncertainty and comfortable with doing things different. I'll never forget the first time, when I had the kids over. It was like one of my weekends with the kids when they were younger, and I made dinner and set the table, and I had chopsticks at each of the place settings at the table. And they're like, Dad, you forgot the forks. I'm like, well, guess what? Tonight we're eating with chopsticks. And the kids were like looking at each other going, what? I said, it's going to be chopstick night. We're going to learn how to eat with This is like 20 years ago. And they're like mocking me. They're like, Dad, they're like stabbing their food with chopsticks. I'm like, no, you don't stab the food with it. This is how you use it. And it became really funny. Now, but I got 3 kids now that can eat with chopsticks.
Nice.
So, but they learned something. And I disrupted the pattern of how to eat. One night we ate Middle Eastern and we didn't have any utensils. A lot of Middle Eastern and African food, they make flatbread, and they tear the bread and they dip it, and the bread is the utensil. I mean, that's a whole nother way of thinking too. So I would constantly do stuff like that with the kids, but I have, kids that are not afraid to try things. They're not afraid to, to venture out away from forks and spoons, that kind of thing. But anyways, that leads us to the end of this particular session. We will continue part 2 on the steps that a person needs to take to fire their boss and or replace their income. So, Jonesy, where do we go? Fireyourboss.win?
Fireyourboss.win.
And conversionchemistry.com?
Well, here's a hint. Fireyourboss.win is a landing page on conversionchemistry.com. And if you want to learn how I do that, just tag us, ask us in the chat here in the comments, or just email us on the contact page on there.
Beautiful. I love it. Any final words, Frank?
Yeah, I'm just thinking back to the thing in my life that really got me changing up. The pattern disrupt was, my ex said, Frank, I'm tired of my job. You're tired of your job. I'm going back to school at night. You can sit home on the couch and watch The Simpsons, or you can go back to school. And at that point, I was like, well, I really like The Simpsons here. This is pretty good, but I hate my job more than I love The Simpsons. I'm like 28 seasons. Like when I retire, I got 28 seasons to catch up on, man, because I never looked back. I went to school, and all of a sudden you're like, oh yeah, I can learn this, and I am pretty good at that. I'm okay at this. And all of a sudden my life changed. And I tell people, having a pattern disrupt means maybe you take the freeway home. One time, why don't you take the back roads? Do something, anything different. You sleep late, get up early one morning. You drive everywhere, walk somewhere for a change. Little things like that lead to big gains, but they have to be practiced. And the average person just can't change on a dime. Theoretically, you can, but do something small, do something different, and different becomes normal because you're always trying something new. It's a lot less scary that way to boot.
I love it. I love it. All right, my friendly acquaintances, we'll see you on the next episode of Fire Your Boss.
Gonna rise above, start my own successful game.